Bazuhoo, the King of Robots, Chapter 1, Section 2 of Chapter 1 by Preston Brady III. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Artemis Alexander Pachinchins, a devoted husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, and friend. For 120 years in this world, he was a joy to all who met him. Although he had many trades during his life, he will most be remembered for the last 40 years as a tender at the exclusive restaurant Robotiki, where he served famous robots from around the globe. Be it the restaurant's trademark oil soup de Arabia or Texas tea filet of Greece, he was known to deliver to his customers with a smile on his face and even a little bounce in his walk. Almost everyone knew him for his favorite original line he would say to even complete strangers in the restaurant who may have appeared sad during a particular visit. Your heart may be made of steel, but it stole my heart the minute I met you. Now sobbing could be heard on the front row as his closest relatives couldn't hold back any longer. As you know, Artemis was a defender of the robot all of his life, a robomantist, a believer in robomanity. He fought in the human rebellion of 2065 against the No-Ros on the side of the robots, and it is said he saved many robots from the destruction of their attackers. He carried his tools everywhere, and on the battlefield he was able to patch and heal many wounded robots. As many also know, there was one in particular he was unable to save. The robot had a fatal wound to the head. Before it died, the robot called out to Artemis, and soon the world would also hear those last words. "Thank you, kind human. You have taught me the feeling of love." As the family's wailing now shifted into high gear, David felt a pang in the center of his chest. It was a feeling, a sensation he had never before felt. Now the sensation made its way to his brain. Suddenly he knew it was about to happen. When he heard those words, "You have taught me the feeling of love," he identified with the dead robot and could see himself in his place, wounded, dying on the battlefield. He felt a tear eject from the tear duct compartment. Then another tear followed, and soon his face was drenched in the saline solution flowing from the tear duct. Inside the modulators compartment, though, alarms were going off. One of them looked at David in shock. His face was drenched in tear duct fluid. The solution was flowing down his chin onto his chest. Was it possible that he had welled up that much emotion? It would be unprecedented. They had no choice but to end the program and investigate. They entered the module and examined David. They scanned his head for anomalies. Then they ejected the tiration module. It was scanned for fissures or any other deficiencies. None were found. The unit was in perfect condition. There was only one conclusion. David Paul Bazuhoo had conjured up so much emotion that the tiration unit reacted as it did. He was crying that much. Of course, they would have to modify the unit to protect against the overflow in the event of future instances, but it was crystal clear to them this robot had crossed over. Less than a year later, he was king of Earth. It was decided by the International Robot Tribunal the family would take over the royal quarters of the humans who had been for centuries rulers from London and Balmoral. The human royal family, led by Queen Elizabeth VI, were relegated to a small but well-appointed home in the Shepherd's Square district of London. The coronation of King Bazuhoo would take place with the usual elements of human rebellion coming mainly from the No-Ros. There were other splinter groups, but No-Ros was the most organized. No-Ros was the result of a previous uprising 10 years prior, when a pair of brothers, Wayne and Scotty Gunter, were killed by security robots during their attempt to blow up the wedding of Lucas and Wanda Cranefellow, a prominent robot couple who identified as Black and commandeered the empire of Cranefellow Industries, a producer of new brain chips. The biggest problem human insurgents were facing was always their technology that had made a tremendous headway over the past quarter century. It can be fairly said that no human could be found who would praise always there. Always there, as the brand suggested, was, as it were, always there. Gone were the days of bathroom privacy or sex in the privacy of a hotel or even your own home. The robots had designed a surveillance system that monitored all human activity. There wasn't a place on Earth that anyone was aware of that could escape the eyes of the always there force. One could scuba dive 100 feet under the sea and the eyes were there. There was a permit process in place for very special cases in which always there could be temporarily suspended or partially suspended. This was rare, and the steps needed to obtain the permit were akin to going before the human Supreme Court before they were disbanded over 50 years ago. Many humans complained always there delegated them to nothing more than permanent actors on a stage, a production that never ended. The robot tribunal countered that if you are not doing something you shouldn't be, then you should have no concern. Almost as concerning as always there was the program For You. The days of visiting a grocery store and shopping shut down over 30 years ago. Groceries are now delivered to your home based on a schedule that determined what you needed and when. The selected items delivered were catered and designed for you. For you know when your cooler and dry units need refreshing, and based on your ability to purchase, the service delivers. For You also addresses your clothing and other needs. Humans no longer have to shop. For You does it all. For You know your dietary needs, and humans who exceed their recommended weight requirements are selected foods to reflect the need to deconsume. The no-ros were fiercely against robot technology and using a special communications method known only to them were planning their biggest insurrection yet.